Hello everyone and welcome back again. This time we're going to describe two great stories we've read. One of them is The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, written by John Boyne, and the other one is The Black Cat, written by the American writer Edgar Allan Poe. I'll begin this part of the video giving a brief summary of The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, this excellent novel written by the Irish novelist John Boyne. The story is set in the 1940s, in the middle of the Second World War. The main character of the story is a 9-year-old child called Bruno, whose father was a German Nazi commander. The rest of Bruno's family is composed by his mother, by his elder sister Gretel, and Maria, who is the maid of the family. They all lived in an enormous 5-story house in Berlin, where Bruno had his best friends, his grandparents, the bustling city, and everything was simply perfect because they were happy living there. But one day things changed because his father get a promotion and the family moved away from his house in Berlin to a new house. But this new house isn't new at all. It is actually an old one, looking shabby from outside and inside, smaller than the previous one, and it is placed next to a tall white fence. There is lots of strange people to Bruno, wearing the same striped pyjamas. Bruno cannot understand what is happening, but he is now living next to Auschwitz concentration camp. Bruno isn't happy with his new life at Auschwitz, so he's determined to find some sort of entertainment before he gone completely mad of boredom. So he decides to explore the place walking along the tall white fence. One day he sees a little boy sitting cross-legged, a small little boy. This boy is Shmuel, and they become friends immediately and decided to meet there every day. After a long time, one day, Shmuel tells Bruno that his father has disappeared, and Bruno decides to help finding him. So Bruno changed his clothes into a spare striped pyjamas that Shmuel has gotten and go into the camp, crawling under the fence. As the boy walked towards the camp, Bruno realized that the people inside the camp live in terrible conditions. After a moment, and just as Bruno is about to return home, the boys are forced to march with a group of other people straight into a gas chamber. And unfortunately, the story does have a happy ending to Bruno. I'd like to say that despite the fact that this is a heartbreaking story, I enjoyed it very much because I believe that it reflects the death and cruelty of the Holocaust from the children's innocent viewpoint. I also liked the fact that the author tells us about Auschwitz and the Führer without even mentioning them, using Bruno's mispronunciation. When Bruno refers to the Führer, he says the Fury, and Auschwitz is a complex word for him, so he tends to say out with. I recommend this story if you like war stories, because for me it has a different point of view of the death, and that is something that I enjoyed of the novel.
I will describe Bruno's character in the story The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas by John Boyne. This is a 9-year-old boy who is the son of a Nazi commandant. He lives in Berlin with his family and he is a happy boy. He has 3 best friends. He adores exploring, reading books and art. He likes living near his grandparents, and he really enjoys going outside with his friends and smelling the aromas of fresh vegetables and playing with his friends. But one day his father is reassigned and they have to move to Poland. So they are forced to live there. And now Bruno is unhappy, sad and bored. He feels that the new house is cold and empty and nobody has ever lived there. But one day he can see an image from his window that catches his attention. He sees a camp, an enormous fence, and he decides to start exploring. At this point he meets Shmuel, who is a Jew boy, who is 9-year-old too, and he's a prisoner in the concentration camp. They started a relationship. They don't know about the reality that is happening in that moment, but they start having a good relationship. Bruno shows us his compassion, his kindness, his empathy, and starts helping Shmuel. He brings him food and talks with him every day. One day Shmuel tells him that his father has disappeared, and Bruno promises Shmuel that he will help him. So he crosses the fence and wears the striped pajamas too. And that moment he start looking for some evidence for Shmuel's father, but they cannot find anyone. In fact, Shmuel's father is dead, but they don't know that. Bruno has a strange feeling. He starts feeling cold, and it's getting dark, and it's start raining, and he wants to go home, but he's not the boy who is going to forget the promise. So he is with Shmuel till the end of the story, and the soldiers guided them to a confined room where Bruno holds Shmuel's hand firmly, and they die together there. So this story is really sad and moving, and it shows us the period of the Holocaust, how suffered the Jews in the concentration camps, but at the same time shows us that between the war of nationalities and this sad historical event, a friendship can grow. And it shows us also that, unfortunately, there are no exceptions when the evil causes harm. Not only the prisoner suffer in this story, but also the son of the commandant. So I think this story shows us that children are the most who suffer about adult decisions. So I think this book is really important, it's really interesting, and I will strongly recommend it.
Hi, I'm going to talk about the summary of The Black Cat. This is narrated in first person. This story is about a man who, with his wife, has several pets, including a black cat called Pluto, which has lived with the couple for years. For some time now, the husband has been an alcoholic, and one day, completely intoxicated, he arrives at his house and starts against the feline. This being attacked bites him, action that makes the man angry, who takes a knife out of his pocket to deliberately empty a knife to the animal. From then on, Pluto avoids his master, although initially he regrets his despicable action as time passes. This feeling of guilty becomes irritation to end up in perversity. Finally, in a fit of madness, kill the cat, drowning him with a rope. The same night, a fire is declared in the house, forcing the couple to flee from there. The next morning, and trying to recover some possessions from among the ashes, everyone observes, as printed on one of the walls that has remained standing, appears the silhouette of a cat with a rope around his neck. This image constantly disturbs the man, although little by little he is looking for a logical explanation to such an event. At the same time, he begins to lose the feeling of guilt regarding what he did to his pet. Days later, in a tavern, he finds a black cat very similar to Pluto. He the only difference is that on his chest he has a large white spot. The man decides to take him home, but one day an incident occurs because going down to the basement, the man notices how the cat is strangled between his legs and is about to lose his balance to rush down the stairs. Filled with rage, he takes an axe with the intention of killing the cat, although he unintentionally deals a fatal blow to his own wife, who was trying to protect the latter. He hides the murder. A few days later, the police wants to investigate the disappear of the woman, and they look for clues in the marriage house. The agents quickly begins to investigate, and then specifically in the basement they hear a subhuman's voice that invades the rooms. The agents quickly begins to remove bricks, taking a real surprise when they discover the corpse of the woman, and on the top of this, the black cat, the true author of the scream.
The Black Cat takes place in the 1840s. The story is written from the narrator J.S.L., where he details all the terrible things he did to his wife and pets because of the alcoholics who changed him completely, of course in a bad way. After the narrator's house burns down, we learn that he and his wife were wealthy people. Before they lost everything in the fire, as a consequence, the second house is completely different. It's not what he and his wife are used to. This house is old and very poor. Both houses seem like prison cells for everyone involved, especially the man's wife and pets that suffer his violence. The atmosphere that you can perceive in all the story is about extreme violence and animal cruelty as the result of drinking heavily. In my honest opinion, I think the narrator only tries to justify to himself for all the terrible things he did, thinking the black cats only bring bad luck to his life.
We recommend this short story if you like horror stories. We hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for watching this book too.
We hope you have